We're in a rare state this morning.
We're actually having trouble forming words because we're just laughing.
We went out last night, Emily and I, and a group of other couples.
We raged.
And I'm not 100% this morning.
So everybody is expecting that I'm going to be hurting the most this morning, and I
actually think it's you. That was the lead up.
I've had a busy morning. I got gas. I put air in my tires. I walked the dog.
I've had a busy morning. I still got up and did all of the things I need to do, like get my kids dressed into school, show up at work. That's just the difference between you and I when we're hungover.
I'm impressed that I not only made it here today, but I also did other things this morning that were out of the box for me for my usual routine.
There you go. Well, you brought me a breakfast sandwich, so that's enough for me.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You guys are in for a real treat today.
We were trying to decide what to talk about. And we were thinking we would just talk about some
stories from our labor and delivery days. I shared in one of my nappings, I don't know how long ago it was now, a month or so ago. I shared a story about labor and delivery. I'll go in more depth of that story here today. And then we have a good one from, it was me and Emily. Both of these stories were when Emily and I were working together. So they felt fitting for this episode.
We have a lot of stories, but they're mostly not appropriate for the podcast, honestly.
Yes. And labor and delivery nurses, if you know one, you probably know that we're a rare breed. There's just like, it's a sick and dark sense of humor, especially, I mean, night shift workers in general, really.
It could be a lot of nurses.
A lot of nurses
sick and dark
have
sense of humor.
Sick and dark sense of humor. Yeah.
Sometimes when we say things or tell stories, people who work here that aren't nurses are like,
yeah. We forget sometimes that we're not surrounded by nurses.
Also, that like at a dinner table, not everybody wants to talk about boobs or vaginas.
Yeah.
So, but it's hard for that to not come up.
Yeah, it's also hard to just not remind people that I've seen more vaginas than everyone collectively at the table, even if I'm sitting with 20 men.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
back in the day,
why don't we just start with what it was like for us to just show up?
Let me set the scene for you.
Are you gonna sing it or
no, not today. But when we worked the night shift, we worked like 4 nights a week at least. So we just were always there at the same time. Minimum, like 4. Well, we always picked up extra. Go just like do 4 or 5 in a row. Yeah. And I could easily just drive myself down to work. And it was slightly out of the way for you, but you did always pick me up.
So Emily lived like a mile from the office.
I could have walked.
Like she technically could have walked, but let's be honest, her or I never would have done that. But I was driving from Southeast, so I would just.
It was free, not anymore. I don't think. I think they charge now. When we worked, it was free to park at night.
So I would pick any night that Emily and I worked together, which was frequently. I would pick her up on the way to work.
Yes.
And
you brought me coffee too.
I always brought you coffee,
which was fire.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And
Southie coffee.
I got you hooked on Southie coffee.
Yeah, the way to go.
And we would always have music blasting. Like I always did driving over, even when I'm in the car alone now.
We still do it now with our kids.
Yeah, true. Very true.
They love it.
One of my kids' favorite songs is Pitbull's Fireball.
Oh, and no, Mackenzie and me play something else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. They're up to speed.
And then Grace will be like, "Can you turn it up loud like Miss Jamie?"
This is true. But I would pick Emily up. Music would be blasting,
and we go into the garage with the music blasting, so that's like echoing, and all the other night nurses are parking, and they're like, "Here they come!"
Yeah, Emily and Jamie are working. It was truly like an ongoing joke that people could hear us pulling into the garage.
Yes,
or me at least. And then, we'd roll in. I have to, like, what I want you all to understand is when, like, Emily and I, or at least for me, and I know this is true for you too, like, when we worked on labor and delivery, it wasn't like, it was a rare day that I, like, went to work and I was like, oh, I gotta go to work. Like, I was usually skipping out the door.
Yeah, never mind.
Like, loved what I did, loved the people I worked with, like, always knew we were gonna have a good fucking time and we were gonna, like, have fun with each other and our patients.
And there was just such a core group of nurses that worked the night shift with us, and we're still friends with them now. Totally. We still do like a yearly dinner. Sometimes try to do more, but dinner. And they were just the funniest people.
Yeah,
we just had such a great time together. Yeah. And we always had each other's backs too.
Yes.
Everybody worked hard. Yep. Like it was great.
Yeah. I mean that, obviously like the culture shifted a little bit slightly, which is why we left, but that's not what we're here to talk about today. You want me to start with my fur coat story?
I love the fur coat story. I love the fur coat story.
So there was one night where, the way that inductions worked, if you were being induced, especially with your first baby, is you typically came in at the beginning of the night shift, like usually around like 7:00.
Yeah.
You would get Cytotec, which is like this cervical ripening medication. You would get monitored for a little while, and then you would be sent home. Mm-hmm. And then you would come back like 3 or 4 hours later for another dose, and then usually be sent back.
And the hospital was near Fenway, so some people would go to the movies.
Yeah.
Or like go to dinner and then come back.
Yeah. So there was this woman, and she showed up for her Cytotec, like in, normal clothes for her Cytotec, with a mink coat on.
Like a giant, fabulous
fur coat. Huge, long, like just like the epitome of a fur coat. So she showed, and this was like, you have to understand, that is not something that you see ever on labor and delivery, showing up in fur. Like
when you go in to have your baby, you're usually in maybe some like yoga pants or a sweatshirt or something, like because your water might have been broken, like something low key.
Yeah, no, nothing low key about this coat. So she shows up for her Cytotec, and I actually think she had shown up like before change of shift, and so all of us were there.
She loved you right away, though.
I didn't take care of her when she got her Cytotec,
but she knew you when she came in. Like you brought her down to the room later. Yeah.
So she shows up, and all of us working the night shift, we were like, "What the fuck?" Like that. Right? We were like, I need to know why she's wearing this coat, right? So she gets her Cytotec. I did not take care of her at that time. She gets her Cytotec. She goes home, and it is not common for the Cytotec to put you into labor, but for this woman, it did. Remember?
Yes.
So she came back at like, I forget what time it was. We'll call it like 1:00 in the morning.
In rip-roaring labor in the fur coat.
Full labor in the fur coat. And the way that it worked on labor and delivery is that like whatever, if I don't know if that night I didn't have a patient that I was taking care of yet, or if I had taken care of a patient and like they'd already delivered and I brought them down to the postpartum floor, but I didn't have a patient. So I was like, I could have been up next for a patient, or I was one of maybe a few nurses who could have taken this patient. So she shows up in her fur coat. Now we were friends with the unit coordinators, like the receptionist, admin, everybody, right? So like we knew that it was this woman coming back in the fur coat. And we've been talking about the fur coat. So she shows back up in the fur coat, and I was like, I will take her as patient.
It wasn't even your turn.
It probably wasn't. I was like, I will take her, and I will get the story about the fur coat. Now, this woman, I already loved, because she showed up in a fur coat in rip-roaring labor. She was Scottish, so she had a Scottish accent, and she was swearing. I was like, this lady is so on my alley for so many reasons. Yeah. So I was like, I will take care of her. So she's swearing like, fuck, this fucking hurts. Why didn't anybody tell me it was gonna fucking hurt? This in her Scottish accent, and I'm just like dying laughing. I'm like, yeah, it hurts, right? Her husband was so nice, equally funny. Whatever. So get her out of her fur coat, get her into her gown. Get her ID, get the baby on the monitor. She wants an epidural, get her epidural. And then finally, like once I got her epidural and she was comfortable, like we actually got to talk. And truly, like her and her husband were like these awesome people. One of the things that I really like most about labor and delivery is that like you had to create a connection. With some people, it was like truly within minutes if they came in like fully dilated and had to push.
And if somebody like maybe you and me didn't like grab them right away, we'd be like, I will get them to love me. Yeah. Like we will love each other by the end of this shift. Yeah. And we always did.
Yeah, totally. But there was no,
my friend.
There wasn't like a lead up with this patient. Like we just like instantly
instant connection.
Her and her husband and I, like we just like instantly connected, and they were just awesome.
Anyone showing up dropping F-bombs, instant connection.
So anyway, after a while, like we were chatting. I ended up staying in the room most of the night. And finally I was like, all right, I gotta ask, what's the deal with the fur? And she's like, starts laughing. She was like, she's like, it's cold as shit here in Boston. It was the middle of winter. She's like, it's cold as shit here in Boston. I'm freezing my fucking tits off. This is the warmest coat I own. I was like, you know what? Touche. I was like, I promised the nurses that I would find out what compelled you to wear this fur coat to labor and delivery.
But then you took it to the next level.
Right. So then like I thankfully got to, during our shift, she delivered. And so it was early in the morning. Like, I think, by the time I was like taking her down to the postpartum floor, is probably close to change of shift. So my guess would be like maybe like 6:30 in the morning.
But also imagine this too. So the way that labor and delivery was set up is like,
it's a U shape.
It's a U shape, like a perfect, like half of a track essentially.
And you can only come in and off the unit on one side.
Right. So you had to like walk, and the nursing station's this U. And so imagine like 10 nurses
sitting
and some doctors, like all in the nursing station, because all the monitors are in there. So like we're not sitting around on our asses doing nothing. There's monitors. We're watching like babies.
Yeah.
So we're all like sitting there, and you have to do this like a walk of shame by the nursing station.
So like when you come in like the front door of the unit, there's like 4 or 5 rooms down that hallway, and then you go around the corner, there's a couple more rooms, and then when you go down the opposite corner that you can't get out of, there's like another 5 rooms. And I was in one of the rooms that was not near the exit, so I had to walk all the way around the nurse's station. So I'm getting this patient, all whatever situated, get her in her wheelchair. We're getting all of her stuff because we're carrying it down to the postpartum floor. And I was like, Emily, that wasn't her name, but Emily.
Yeah.
Can I, the nurses will literally piss themselves if I wear like your mink coat to push you downstairs. Can I wear the mink coat? She was like, absolutely. So I was like, great. So like, get her all situated. I put on the mink coat. So now you have to imagine, like, I am in my scrubs.
Yeah.
I am wearing a mink coat over my scrubs.
Pushing a wheelchair.
I'm pushing a wheelchair. She's holding the baby in the wheelchair, and her husband is pushing. We had the cribs. Her husband is pushing the crib with like all their stuff in the crib. That's usually how we like got them downstairs. And you have to stop at the admin and hand over this like piece of paper.
You gotta check out on your way out.
Check out, right? That's like a summary of the.
By everybody, and everybody's like, bye, congratulations.
So you have to imagine it's like 6:30 in the morning. People are pretty tired. Like the nurses who are sitting at the nurse's station are like,
just want to go home.
Done. And so I hand the piece of paper to, I think it was Maureen. To Maureen, and I was like, here you go, Maureen, bye, I'm heading downstairs. And she like,
low-key laugh.
Like, yes. So I hand her the paper, and she looks up at me, and she just starts dying laughing. And I start walking around the nurse station, and like slowly everybody like pops in, and like, bye, I'll be right back. I'm just bringing medication downstairs. And people are like, yeah.
Pissing themselves.
And then like slowly people like look up and they start dying laughing. Emily was there that night. And she was like, and she's like,
got permission. And her husband was like, can I please take your picture? And they're like, absolutely.
Yeah. I'll post it on social media.
It was really funny. Oh my gosh. So
but
funny.
yeah, that was just a fun night. It was a fun delivery.
Love nights like
awesome
that.
Patient.
Most nights were like that. Yeah, always something like low key that was funny happened, or we would just make it fun.
Yeah. Or just at the very, like, even if it was a shit show, it was like the very least, like, we were all in it together and like supporting each other.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yeah.
You want to share yours?
Yeah, should we take a break and then come right back?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
All right, come back.
We'll leave you in suspense.
Yeah. This is a good
for one of my stories.
It's a good one. All right.
We're back. I struggled to come up with a story because I had so many. I was like, I don't know, I might get in trouble if I tell this one. You all think she's the naughty one, but I'm the one who might have been like flying under the radar. Shocked that I didn't get called into HR ever.
I had so many meetings with HR, you guys, and it had nothing to do with my patient care. It had everything to do with me being too loud and swearing.
We did. So we used to play Cards of Humanity at the nursing station.
Oh my God, I cannot believe you saying that. Yes.
Yeah. But one time the doctor was like, I don't know if you can do that. And we were like, yeah, we can.
I was not.
That was like a holiday and there was nobody there. It was like dead. But no, typically we would get in trouble because that U shape is far from the elevators and far from the doors. Yeah. And we were just very loud. Yeah. And when Jamie and I would be talking or laughing, the volume goes up. And our nurse manager, who loves us to this day, she does.
Our first one.
She would come in with her coffee and like come around the corner and be like,
very true.
she's
ask everybody in our office. Literally nothing has fucking changed.
sleeping.
Yeah.
Anyway, I knew Jamie pretty well. Like we were just becoming friends though for this story. We had just
really.
I didn't know you spoke other languages. Let's just put it that way. Okay.
I don't speak other languages. I speak vagina Spanish. Continue.
I didn't know you spoke vagina Spanish.
Okay.
Literally, I had no idea.
Fun fact, I'm actually a Spanish minor and I studied abroad in Spain.
But you only know
and my first job I used a lot of Spanish, but I really only
I didn't know this stuff.
No, I know.
We're new friends.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't you. I think I want to be friends.
And Spanish speaking patients
there were
our unit.
But I had a woman who was Spanish speaking, like literally.
Spanish speaking only.
Only.
Yeah.
And what I remember of the story is being in the room with her pushing. And I was a newer L&D nurse. So like you get better at helping patients, obviously, with positions in labor and like the tips around pushing and being effective at it. It's like you just get, the more you do it, the better you get. But I was newer.
And this was not, so correct me if I'm wrong, and it was not her first baby. So I feel like
that's even worse for the story though.
So I feel like when it came time to push, the doctor came in like right away, assuming
slip and slide out, right? Yeah. So it's time to push. The doctor comes in. Really though, like they just, you laugh and they come out. So, and the doctor gowns up for delivery because she's expecting this to be quick. And I am ready to go. And it's the middle of the night. So there's no one there, by the way. Like there's no interpreter. There's no like extra. It's just me and this doctor.
Yeah.
And the doctor doesn't like me. Because I'm trying to help this lady push and she doesn't speak English and I don't speak Spanish.
Right.
And I'm like using my hands and like making faces and trying to like get her to bear down and she has no clue what I'm saying. Yeah. And I don't know, we were in there for a while and this doctor is just annoyed.
Like, annoyed.
So annoyed. And I like don't know what to do. Like I'm trying to explain to her how to push.
Yeah.
And oftentimes there's so much pressure for people who've had second or third babies that they do just like eventually come out, but this kid was just sitting. His head was just sitting right there in the vagina.
Yeah.
So I hit the call bell.
So at the time, this call bell that we had, right? It's like it was so old school.
It's like a microphone.
Yeah, remember? And you would push it and be like, "Hi, can I help you?" And you would be on speaker.
The whole nursing station can hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Emily hits the call bell, and it's like, "Does anybody out there speak Spanish?" So I'm like, I do.
And in comes, I wasn't expecting you. And Jamie comes right into the room, doesn't even say hi to me, walks right by me, kind of like knocks me aside, grabs this lady's leg, and she was like, oh, I don't know what you said.
Relaje las piernas, empuje en su recto.
You were like, push like it's in your ass.
All I said was,
and you literally goes, came out and I'm like, what the actual fuck? I have been, and I'm sweating. I'm like gowned up. I've been in there coaching and working, trying to get this lady to push. And you just fucking walk in and it say blah, 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 blah.
It wasn't even like,
boom.
Anybody listening to this who speaks Spanish and just heard what I said, there's nothing that's probably not even right. Exactly what I'm saying.
I think you were just like,
it was
push
just
in your butt.
I said, hold your breath, relax your legs. She was pushing in her legs.
Yeah.
Relax your legs, push in your rectum, push in your butt.
Yeah. And then out came the baby.
I don't know. But I remember walking in, you were totally
I was like sweating.
And the doctor was like, walked in and looked at me and I was like, ooh, she's pissed. Oh, good though. And then like I left and Emily like came out later and was like, what the fuck? Like,
I knew you know. You think you know somebody, and then there you go.
One of my many talents.
Oh my god. Yeah. Anyway,
those
ridiculous. Those are what came to mind this morning that were like PG rated.
You're making it seem like the other stories are like really big. It was just like stories where it was just
they're not
like
bad, they're just inappropriate, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. And people don't want to hear too much about these topics, I think, from what they tell me at dinner parties when I tell stories that I think are funny. They're like, that's not funny. I don't want to hear about it.
No, it's true. It's very true. I have stories about my own labor. I could share it another day too.
We're trying to keep the fun here at Naps.
Yeah, we're just trying to keep it alive. Yeah, keep you laughing,
keep people.
So I hope you enjoyed these. If you did, and you want to hear more, maybe we can start.
I bet everybody listening wants us to be their labor and delivery nurse.
Yeah. I would love to be your labor and delivery nurse as long as I didn't have to do any paperwork.
Yeah, just show up, help you, push baby out, clean you up, leave. No paperwork.
No paperwork.
I would struggle at the hospital now because we used to write on paper and it's all electronic now.
Emily still writes on paper.
I still write on paper. I wouldn't thrive in the electronic environment.
Yeah, you don't thrive in the electronic environment at your current job.
Really like paper. Just paper. Anyway. All right. We'll try to think of some more fun stories for another time.
Yeah, if you want to hear them. All right.
We're going to go do some serious work now.
That'll be the day.
Bye. Bye.